So what am I doing? I'm taking variable called name and I'm converting into lowercase. For that I'm using function called lowercase. So it changes the original uppercase values into lowercase values. Similarly, I'm taking lowercase values now and I'm converting into uppercase. So these are two functions called uppercase and lowercase. You can convert into either uppercase or lowercase. So the original values are in lowercase. I'm changing into uppercase. There is one more function called prop case. Here I have everything in lowercase. What does prop case do? Prop case converts only the first alphabet into uppercase. So only the first alphabet converted into uppercase. So lowercase, uppercase, and prop case. Prop case is also called as a mixed case. You can use either prop case or you can use mixed case. Both of does the same function. So now I'm taking SAS help.class dataset from SAS help library. And what am I doing? I'm calculating the length of each observation from variable name. What am I doing? I'm calculating length of each observation from variable name. So what is the length of Alfred? 6. It calculates the actual length of the variable values. It calculates the actual length of the variable values. So these are the lengths for the values present in the variable name. So how I'm creating, because I'm using new variable length, you can give any name, but the function name is length. So it calculates the length of each variable's value. So same, I'm doing again compress. We already learned this function in previous class. What it does here, it compresses all these dashes. So EMP. So this will be my value printed. It compressed all the dashes. Same thing. What happens here? It compresses D. We also learned this one in previous class. It compresses the alphabet D. So for using a compress function, we need to use the name of the variable, and we also need to include an delimiter. Either you can use a delimiter, or you can. It's fine without using delimiter also. Without using delimiter, what will happen? It compresses the spaces. Yeah. So what does compbl do? We learned this function also in previous class.
Yeah. It will remove extra spaces, but it will keep one space. It will replace all the spaces with one.
It makes one space as delimiter and deletes all extra spaces, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm taking sashelp.choose dataset. I'm using new function called substr. What does substr do? Substring. So from that, I'm taking variable called product. Let's go to sashelp library and choose. So what variable am I using now? Variable called product. So what am I doing? So here also I need to use an delimiter or the position where you are taking from. So what was the position I'm taking from first position to third position? So what is my first position? B is my first position, right?
Yeah.
So from there I'm calculating three values. So BOO. So let me run this and show it to you. What will be the result? So it is taking first three values from this variable.
Yeah.
So it is only taking three. If you want to take five, you can give 5, 1 comma 5.
Mhm.
So the first one indicates where it is starting. If you want to start it from the second place, you can give it from 2 comma 3. Now let's run it and check it. What was the value here? BOO, right?
Mhm.
Okay, let me do it this way. We'll name this as product 1 and we want to do it from 2 comma 3. Let's run it. It starts from 2 and then it goes till 3 more. OT will be there. Here it is taking en comma. Even it calculates the space as one character. Space, symbols, anything, whatever is in the order, that will be taken. Here we have single apostrophe, right? So it took that as one character. If there is space, it will also take space as a single character.
Sir, if we write 5 comma 2, so it won't show boot.
No, it won't show boot. It will be going to this variable because there is no value in the file, right?
Right.
Same. We worked on cat, right? What does cat do?
It's added.
It
It adds.
concatenates.
Yeah.
So you should say concatenate. It concatenates both of them.
Mhm.
But we were not able to use any delimiters here, or we were not able to trim the spaces defaultly. But when we are using
Cat-X.
catx, what it does, it compresses left spaces or trailing spaces or any unwanted spaces, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So there is one more function called scan. What does substr do? Substr does it by each single character, right? But what does scan do? Scan does by each word. So here I'm taking 1. So it selects the first word. Here it selects the second word. Here it selects the third word. Let me run this and show it to you. So what is the variable I'm taking? The variable called name. What was the value in the variable name? Thomas John David. And for F, these are the new variables created. F under name, M under name, and L under name. So for this I'm taking the first word. For this I'm taking the second word. For this I'm taking the third one. Let me run this. So what was the first word? Thomas. What was the middle name? What was the last name? So there is one more function for scan. I'll show it to you. So this pipes is same as cat or catx, right? Yeah.
Cat-X.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's similar function to those. Now I'm creating dataset called cards, a dataset called EMP. I'm using card statement for creating that. And these are the observations and their values I'm creating. You know how to create dataset right now
Yeah.
by using cards. So I have created this dataset. Okay. So write off job, what it does. Let me run. So you can see this job is aligned towards left side, right?
Mhm.
You can't see it. If there are any right spaces, it deletes those. But you're not able to find it here. See, but if you see this one, this looks like it's aligned towards right side, right? Because you got an left space here. It doesn't do anything with the left spaces. It tries to align towards right side. You won't be using this function much. So now we will learn about date and time functions and what are informats. So what are informats? You know what is an format, right? How does the format look like? Everyone should be knowing that. If I open this, in the attributes, there are called formats. So normally it will be assigning the length as their format. As this is a character variable, so this has a $sign for the format. Let's open any of the numeric variable. P. So for numeric formats, it doesn't show $sign. It shows either best.vol or like previously we did 5.2, 4.2, something like that, right? So it'll assign the format in that way. There are three types of formats. One is numeric format, the other is character format. The third type is date and time informats. So what is an informat? Informats are typically used to read or input data from external files called flat files. The informat instructs SAS on how to read the data into SAS variables. Are typically grouped into three categories: character, numeric, date and time. So normally character formats will be starting with $sign and their width is shown here. So $6 or $10 dot, like this. So $8. So it starts with a dollar symbol and their width is assigned and decimal after the width. But when it comes to numeric formats, it won't start with a $sign, but width is assigned and what is D? See the dollar, let's go with this. The dollar indicates character informat. Informat refers to sometimes optional SAS informat name. The W indicates the width of the variable. But when it comes to numeric format, W also indicates to width, but what does D indicate to? The D is used for numeric data to specify number of digits to the right of the decimal place. So if I am saying 5.2, how will be my value? How is my value expected? Either, let's say my value is 10.3. The value expected is like this. Even it can be 100.3. But if you are trying to make it 1000.3, it won't take it because length is only 5.2. Then you need to make it as 6.2. Because even space is calculated as one character, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, decimal is 5 and 6. So how many characters are assigned to right side of the decimal? That is D. That indicates D. So what does D indicates? D indicates to the decimal values. So, and we'll learn about date and time formats also. We'll learn here date and time functions. So there are date and time functions and there are date and time formats. So I have a date called 25 January 94 and this is a date. So you just remember this value because if you are trying to input and data set and data value, you need to include like this D when you are inputting and date. So what am I changing the date into? Format called DDMMYY 10 dot. What is DDMMYY 10 dot? So first it prints the date and it adds an hyphen and then it adds month. Let's say it is January. and it adds the 4-digit year. Let's run this. Let's run it till here. So it indicates / and 2-digit month, and normally there is a standard date format called IS8601 date format. I'll show you that. GD, YY, and this is the standard date format for that is required for FDA. Whenever you are submitting any dates for FDA, that should be printed always in this format. But here what we are doing, we are first changing, we are taking the date and we are changing it into DD YY 10 dot. So first it prints 2-digit date and 2-digit month and 4-digit year. Now if I want to select only month from the date which I am having, so what is the function I am having? Month of variable date. So the variable I am having is date, right? Now I want to select only month from this variable. So what is the function used for that? Month of date. And what is the new variable I am creating here? M. So what is the month? January 01. So it only prints the month value here. So similarly for date and year also you have an same functions. So year. So 1994. So day. So it prints the day, value of the day. So weekday. So what day of the week it is? So one indicates Monday. Let's see what is 25 January 2015. So it starts with Sunday. So it prints 1, 2. If it is Tuesday, it prints 3. If it is Wednesday, it prints 4. If it's Thursday, it prints 5. Friday has 6 and Saturday has 7. So if I have a time format like this, like 1:30, 35 seconds, and this is for indicating a time format, we should indicate T. For indicating a date format, we should indicate D. So format time 8 dot. Okay, let's run this. So time 8 dot format is 1 decimals and 30, 35. Now if you want to select hours or minutes or seconds, you can do that. So I'm creating 3 new variables called, the first variable I'm creating is hour, the second one is minute, and the third one is second. For that, what variable am I using? The variable called time. So here it selects the hour present in my time, and here it selects the minute, and here it selects the second. So 1 hour, 30 minutes and 35 seconds. You can split each and everything from either date or time by using these. So if you want to indicate both date and time at one place, then you need to use DT. For date we are using D, for time we are using T, and for date and time we are using DT. So 23rd October 1956, and the time is, here the time is 24 hours time format.
Sir, one question.
Mhm.
Before you did for date the format and time everything in one line. Now in time you are doing in two lines. Like time you are first assigning and then you are doing format. Time 8 point. Is it required or we can do either way?
I didn't get you. Sorry.
Uh, Before like
No,
when you are
I created three separate data sets. That's what you mean?
no in the next one the data time and then you are assigning the time 30 35 and then you are doing format line the next line.
Okay.
Yeah, so can we do in the same line everything or we have to do in two lines?
Oh, this one and this one?
Yeah.
Even we did it in separate line. It doesn't matter, but you need to end after, because here ends one statement, so it should end with a semicolon, and even you can start here.
No, that's not my question. So it means first you have to assign
First, you
a
have to
value
assign a
toward.
value and then assign a format for that value. Until
Okay.
unless you assign a format, it doesn't read this value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or you can assign the format at the end also. You can assign the format anywhere before the run statement. You need to enter your format.
Sir, what is time 8? Why it's time 8?
Because time is always, if you see if you calculate, this is 1, this is 2, so total length is 8. It calculates up to 8.
It's
So
7.
let's start from here.
Oh, okay, because if it's 2.
Yeah, because if it is time 12 or time
Mm,
22 hours,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it should be 8, right? So that's the
Okay.
maximum
Okay.
possible values, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't specify T in the time or D in the date? You just
So
simply give the same value.
it doesn't read it because that's the format that's given by SAS.
Okay.
That's the default formats that has been assigned to SAS software.
All right.
We can't change it.
Thanks.
So here 18. So here for date it is 10 and time it is 8, right? Total
Mm-hmm.
format length is 18, right? So here we are assigning date time 18 dot. You can assign even after this one, it doesn't matter. So now what am I saying? I'm creating new variables called DOB and TOB, date of birth and time of birth. So for date of birth, I'm only taking date part. So it only selects the date from that value. From the entire value, it only selects the date. When it comes to TOB, it only selects the time part. Let's run this and check it. And I'm saying print my date of birth in format called date 7 and print my time of birth in time 8. Let's see now what happens. Run it. See, now date value has been changed, right? It was printed as it is. Previously, we have assigned it as date 10 dot. Let's change it to date 10 dot and check what happens. Let's change it to, we can also change it to date 9 dot. It should print that too. Let's check. See, right now we have only 2-digit here, right? Let's run this and check. Sample. It prints 4-digit here. Let me show it in the same data set. You'll understand what I'm trying to say. So let me create one more variable.
Sir, if we make it date 10, then it will be just like it is
You can't print
OCT
date
right now, right?
10 here. Yeah. Let me show it to you all different formats right here.
Okay.
So I'm creating one more variable called dob1, and for dob1 I'm assigning format called date9 dot. So this is called date7 dot format, and this is called date9 dot format. What was the difference? The length is increased to 9, so then it includes 4 digit here. If you see here, we have only 2 digit here. And when it comes to time format, we still included time8 dot format, so it printed 24-hour time format. You have a question in including time10 dot format, right?
Right.
Go to log. dob1. See, it still doesn't change because it is taking length as 10, but still it's assigning date9 dot format. Let's go to attributes. But you can see it as, because there is no date10 dot format that has been given by SAS software. So it only uses either 9 or 10. But if you want to do something like that, you need to use this function called ddmmyy10 dot. When you are giving date, it won't give date 10 dot. If you want something like that, you can use this format. Then let me copy this and run this. See, now it has been assigned. So if you want to do 10 dot format, you need to use this format.
Okay. Otherwise,
But my question was, if we continue with that format and if we wanna write full October, it's like it's just showing OCT, right?
Yeah.
So if we increase the number, so it doesn't
No,
changes to
it
October.
doesn't change to October. No, because SAS doesn't expect any time to print the entire name of the month. Even FDA people, they don't expect those things, so they have designed it like that. So you have date7 dot, date9 dot, or ddmmyy10 dot, and there are a lot other formats.
Okay.
There's one more called is8601dt dot. If you do that, date will be printed like this, because standard date format that is expected by FDA is is8601dt dot. So for date, the above one is used, and if you want to include the time here you need to include t. You need to concatenate date part with t, and then you need to include this one, hh, mm, ss. This is the standard date format that is expected by FDA.
Okay.
Okay.
So there is one more date function called intck. So what is intck used for? Let's say I have a patient coming on January 1st. That is his first visit, and his last visit is on June. So if I want to calculate the difference between the months of Jan and June, so there is a function called intck. If you define a delimiter called either month, so intck can be used to calculate the total number of years or total number of months or total number of days between two dates. Let's say there is a date called A and there is a start date called A and there is an end date called B. And if you want to calculate the difference between A and B, there is a function called intck. You can either use year option or you can use month or day. Depends on the what function you have used. Years will be calculated or months will be calculated or days will be calculated. So either three of these should be used as a delimiter, and from which variable to which variable. So you need to give two variable names here. So data sample, I have first variable called doj and I have second variable called dor. I need to find the difference between these two dates. One is 23rd October 1967, the other one is 30 November 1989. So format both these dates first if we need to do any calculations to date 9 dot format. And if you see in our previous data set, these are numeric formats, right? Date 7 dot and date 9 dot. So we need numeric formats for calculation. If you see this one also, all date formats are numeric formats. But IS 8601 date format is a character date format. I will show you how to create that in next class. So if you want to subtract any dates, that should be in a numeric format. So I'm creating new variable called service. I'm using my function date function called intck. I'm using delimiter as year. So what am I doing now? I'm calculating the difference between both dates in years. So I'm taking variable doj and I'm taking variable dor. So I have used one delimiter and two variable names. Run. So total how many years between 1967 and 1989? 22 years. So what function have we used here? intck. And we calculated the difference in years. So I'm taking the same dates and I'm using date 9 format to convert into numeric date. And instead of year, here I'm using month. So what am I doing? I'm calculating total number of months between 1967 October and 1989 November. Let's run this. So 265 months between both these dates. So now we are calculating total number of days by using intck. So what is an intck function does? It calculates the total number of years or months or days. Depends on what you defined as an delimiter. So now it calculates the number of days. How many number of days are present between 67 and 89? So total number of days is 8074 days. So any questions guys in this notes? So what functions did we learn today? We learned some character functions called uppercase, lowercase and prop case. These are used to change character either to lowercase the character values either to uppercase. What does prop case do? Prop case converts only the first character
Yes.
as an uppercase. So length calculates the length of variable values, and what compress does we already know. It compresses whatever is given as delimiter. Same thing. What does compl do? It deletes unwanted spaces and it keeps one space as a delimiter. And what does substr do? Substr we need to give from where we need to the position of the character
Substring.
where we want to select substring.
Scat.
So from where we want to the position of the character from where we are selecting and till which position we are doing. So what does cat do? Cat concatenates. And what does scan does? Scan selects based on which word you want to select. You can also use delimiter in scan. I will show you now how to use delimiter in scan. So now let's take the same data set. Okay. Now directly I want to select the third word. Directly I want to select the last name. Rather than using this 3, I can do one more thing. I can give delimiter here and give -1. So it takes space as delimiter and it takes the last word. Let's run this. Name. And space as delimiter. So it selects the David. So you can also use delimiter for that. Let's say I have 20 words here. You can't start counting the words, right? If you want to select the last word, you can use -1. So it selects the last word and you need to give a delimiter for that. So where you want to select the last word after space, right? So it selects the last word.
Sir, why -1?
Because it is counting from last. If I do +1, it selects the first word and it takes space as delimiter. Now let's run it. So it selects the first word. So before the first space, it takes the first word.
If we write 3 then?
If you want to do 3,
Baby.
it selects David. But it's easy to do it -1 because instead of counting the number of words, it's easy to select last word, right? -1. So either you can use from backward or frontward by using scan function, but you need to use a delimiter for that.
Okay,
Sir,
whatever
if we
number.
use -3, then it's gonna select Thomas?
Yes. Yeah, you can try all those options.
Okay.
Yeah, you can practice those things once I sent a note for you. What else? So that's all. Yeah, where are we now? Yeah. So that's with the scan function, and we also learned date and time functions. So how to convert and select month from the given date, or date from the given date, or day from the given day, or what day of week it is, or if you want to select hour or minute or second from the given time, you can do that. And you can also use date time format to create the entire date length, and from that you can select date part or time part again. And there is a function called int_ck, which is used to calculate the difference in years, months, or days. Any questions, guys? That's all for this note.
What is this?
Sir, I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's not regarding these notes. I was just wondering, like, for clinical SAS work, do you have to have a science background?
No, it's not required.
Okay.
But most of the terminology are related to clinical, so you'll be understanding better what is an treatment or all those things. It will be more helpful for you, right?
Yeah. So,
Because
but
if they are saying something about pharmacology of the drug, if you are a science student, you'll be knowing. When you're reading protocols or SAPs, it's easy to understand, right? But it's not required only that you should be from clinical background. Because right now what we are learning is in base SAS. Once we will be going to clinical SAS, you'll be knowing what is the difference I'm trying to say.
okay. So, but we are basically learning the clinical SAS after this, right?
Yes.
So, do we have to study something else, like to
Don't
learn?
worry about that for now. I will say you when we go to clinical SAS.
Okay.
Because I will say you what clinical SAS contains and what documents you need to follow and what is required for FDA from clinical SAS and what documents, like there is a Bible, something like book called CDISC implementation guide, STKM and Adam implementation guide, and in that book they define all the rules, how you need to create the data, or there are specifications for that. So
Okay, thank you.
Can we have class recordings?
what?
That's recordings for the last 2 or 3 classes.
No, I'm not going to send the recordings because if I'm trying to send the recordings, no one is going to attend the class. I'm only sending the class notes.
Sir, but actually, who is attending the lecture? Can you send it to them, the recordings?
No, I'm not doing any recording for now. So you need to follow in the class and you need to follow class notes. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the class itself or in the next class. Once you follow the class notes, you can again come back to next class and you can ask me questions.
Sir, actually, in my SAS software, sometimes it just stop downs. It's like I'm doing the programming and it shows 0 observation for every data set I do.
So
Then I have to
you need to check with log if something happens, what was the issue happening. So if you see log, previously we had some error here. So you need to check these errors or warnings. See, here we had an error because here I'm using 2 decimals instead of 1 decimal. So I took out 1 decimal, then we were able to print the data set. Otherwise, it won't be replacing
Sir,
the
but
existing data set.
if I do exact same what you have given us in that uh, class notes, still it shows zero observation. Then I have to close the program. Then I have to restart the program, and then it works. But
No,
same program doesn't work.
no, you check what's happening in the log. It might be because I'm creating some data sets somewhere in the libraries and I'm bringing those data set, but try to find if you have those libraries or not.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Mhm.
I don't need to learn SQL or Unix as a background for SAS.
What?
For SAS, I need to learn SQL and Unix.
You need to know a bit of SQL, but it's not mandatory that you need to use SQL, but you can still use dataset steps and create all the data. But for creating some counts, we'll be creating SQL. I'll be saying those simple steps of SQL.
Okay, sir. And the operating system Unix, we do not
Okay,
have any
let
Unix
us go
name.
with the class. We'll discuss it then, Tarak.
Okay, sir.
So we have some more functions called translate and transword. So we'll learn those functions also for now. So what does translate do and what does transword do? Let's say I have a specific value in per certain variable. I have a specific value called casual here. I want to replace this word with some other word, or let's say I have an alphabet called A. I want to replace alphabet A with some other word. So if you want to replace particular word or particular letter in the entire value, you can do that. For replacing a particular letter in the entire value, there is a function called translate. If you want to replace specific word, there is a function called transword. We'll see the difference between both of those now. So I'm taking the value variable ABC, and the value present in ABC is this one. Now I'm using function called translate. So in translate, I'm taking this value. So this is 2. This is the new value I want to create here. So what do I want to replace? I want to replace the spaces with hash. So I want to replace all the spaces with hash. So the string is like this. So first to which value you want to change, that will be printed in the first place, and what was the original value that you want to replace, that is from. So I want to replace the spaces with hash. So I want to, instead of space here, I want to include an hash. Let's run it till here. So data test. So I'm replacing all the spaces. I'm replacing all the spaces with a symbol called special character asterisk. Right? So this is the new variable created, and I'm replacing all the spaces here. Go
Sir,
ahead.
if we have two spaces after honest, so it's gonna remove only one space and gonna give hash,
No,
and
it
gonna
removes
keep on.
all the spaces.
Okay.
You can try those things, and if you have questions, you can ask me. It replaces all the spaces. It is character specific, so it looks for space and it replaces all those. So now
Okay.
let's say I have is. I have I or S, and it replaces with uppercase IRS. Let's run it till here. Before that. So I'm creating a new variable called PQR. See, it replaces IS. If it looks only for character I or S, either it can be is or any other where it is present. Let's go to word honest. I have only S here, right? So still it replaces into uppercase S.
Yeah.
It looks for a particular character. It doesn't need to be same word like IS is. it looks for anywhere for I or anywhere for S and replaces everything. But when it comes to tran word, it only looks for a specific word. So tran word string is reverse. First we need to give what string are you replacing. I'm replacing is with the new one called ISEs. So it's vice versa. When it comes to translate, first you should give what you need to change and from where. But when it comes to tran word, it's vice versa. So let's run this. So what is the difference here? Here it is only looking for the entire word ISEs. It is not changing yes in the honest, right? It is not changing yes into uppercase like it happened when we use a translate function. So the difference is translate looks for the characters in the entire value of the variable, but tran word is specific to whatever that is given in the quotes. It looks for specific word. It looks for characters.
Yeah.
That's the difference between tran word. So if you want to replace some values, you can use these translate and tran word. What else we have for today's class? So you know what is trim, right?
Yes.
So what does trim do? There is one more option similar to trim.
Remove the spaces.
Yeah, trim is nothing but left. It trims to
All the spaces.
trims. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Specified. Yeah.
No, it removes the trailing spaces.
Mhm.
Removes the trailing spaces. So let's go to test.
It will remove the leading places too, right? All the, it
No,
will
trim off left deletes the leading spaces.
What about strip? Does it remove both the spaces?
No, trim off left and strip does the same function.
Okay.
It removes the leading spaces. See, if you see, I have spaces for honest right here. I have included some spaces for honest, and I have included some spaces here also. So it removes only trailing spaces.
Okay.
So it removes the trailing spaces and concatenates.
no. If we put the spaces in front of honest, like let's put 3 spaces, that also it will remove, right? Or no?
No, trailing. It removes the trailing spaces. For that, you need to use trim off left.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So once you get such doubts, practice after the class.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So date and time functions. Let's say I'm taking something like this. D1 is equal to date of, D2 is equal to today, time is equal to day, and DT is equal to date. And I need to assign format. For date, I'm giving format called date9 dot. For today, I'm giving ddmmyy10 dot. For time, I'm giving 8 dot format. And for date time, I'm giving datetime 21 dot format. And let's run this and see what happens. I'm not giving any values here. I'm not giving any date or time values. So what has been printed? Today's date and current time. The time now is 11:30. So what it does, it takes, when you do something like this, it takes the current date, it takes the current date and time. So for date, you need to give, so D1, so it prints the date. For D2, I'm giving ddmmyy10 dot. So it prints today's date again. For time, it prints the time, and for DT, it prints the date and time. I'm giving the formats for those. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
If you don't have any questions, we'll end the session for today, and we'll join in the next class. I'll be sending more assignments on Wednesday after
It will be on
Wednesday's class. No, it's on Wednesday. It's on Wednesday at 9 p.m. EST.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have no questions, we'll end the session.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So our next class, when our next class, sir?
On Wednesday at 9 EST, 9 p.m. EST.
Okay, so no problem.
If no questions, guys, I'm ending the class for today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.